In this video, I'm going to show you a hidden secret little Facebook marketplace trick that can make you an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month at a minimum very easily. And it's so straightforward, so simple. If you're not doing this, you absolutely should. Without further ado, this is exactly what it is. So whether you're selling on Facebook Marketplace or not, you can utilize this strategy. It does involve Facebook Marketplace. I know a lot of people flip phones on Facebook Marketplace. I personally don't, but I'm still able to source phones from this method. I've done it before. You will still get people reaching out to sell you their phone. Now, what you want to do is just list your phone on Facebook Marketplace as you normally would as you're selling it. Now, if you don't sell phones on Facebook, as I don't, just make a listing for a phone you have anyways. Take the eBay photos or whatever you were going to do. Maybe you're going to go to a direct buyer. Just list a phone on eBay, and this will work exactly the same. List a phone on Facebook Marketplace. This will work exactly the same for you. Now, I've gone over in my free course on this channel how to craft the listing, but there's a key element to this that really allows you to boost your profits. And it's something I want to just get in the specifics of today. And it's the trade-in strategy. So what you want to do at the end of your description, which again, I won't be going over all that in today's video, is you want to copy and paste this into your description at the very end. And I like putting a little emojis around it. That way it stands out. People recognize it. And what it is it says, trade in your current phone and or any old/used/damaged phones or electronics you have for a discount on this phone. Message me your device and any details. I can't believe how well this worked for me. Back when I was selling on Facebook Marketplace, I would say 1 out of every 5 or 6 devices I bought ended up being a trade-in with this strategy. And so that's, if I'm selling 50 phones, we'll say 1 in every 5, that becomes an extra 10 phones that I got that I otherwise wouldn't have. So a 20% increase or so in device intake, in free leads, which is absolutely amazing. Facebook Marketplace, if you're just flipping on the platform, meaning buying and selling back to the platform, you're extremely limited in what you can make because you're at the liberty of what comes on the platform. Even if you're checking constantly, you have some sort of monitoring software, getting notifications when new devices drop. You still have to hit a certain price. You still have to be on it. And again, you're completely at the liberty of what's actually listed on the platform. Now, I do a bunch of different strategies now. I run paid ads, whole different game as compared to Facebook Marketplace. So I have a bunch of leads coming in from different places. But if you're just doing Facebook Marketplace, maybe you're a total beginner, you should absolutely be implementing the strategy. And even if you're not, you can still get devices by doing this. So putting this in at the bottom, it's just as simple as just going here, Facebook Marketplace, when you go to make your listing. Of course, you'd probably do this on your phone. You put all these photos in, title, price, and then description. Now, if you don't, well, that's the title of this video. I need to copy this in. So it'd be as simple as putting that in at the end. Now, if you don't sell on Facebook Marketplace, I don't sell on Facebook Marketplace anymore. I just sell most of my devices on eBay, or I send them to a direct buyer. What you would do is, instead of putting all the other stuff in the description, just put this message. And then I would list something that's not the newest phone, but not the oldest one either. And of course, the Pro Max models are very popular. So I'd probably put a 13 or 14 Pro Max and I'd price it to sell. Now, what I wouldn't do is put it super cheap and have my phone blown up by trash buyers. But you could undercut the market a little bit. That way there's a little more interest and people will read this message as a result. Now, of course, if you want to, you could list it really cheap and get a lot more messages if you're willing to sort through all of those and see which ones are real, which ones are people just wasting your time. Unfortunately, you get a lot of people messaging you trying to just buy it really quickly if it was priced super cheap. So to filter some of that out, I would recommend just putting it right at market, maybe a little bit lower, and then simply put this in the description. And then what I would do is, as people message you, I would just, you get the message, hey, is this available? Is if they don't mention anything about trading in a device, just say, sorry, it's not available, but just keep the listing up and you can renew it every few days as if it hasn't sold. Of course, back in the day, a lot of people would get phones putting up ads on Marketplace. So they'd say cash for phones or do something. put a different photo in. There's different ways to manipulate it. If you've sold enough on Facebook, you know what I'm talking about. These kind of scammy, spammy looking advertisements. Really, it's just other phone flippers. And I guess it still works. It's not a very good strategy in my opinion because your account will get banned doing this, but they can't ban your account for this. So again, if you're selling on Facebook Marketplace, this is a no-brainer. You should be doing it. If you're not selling on Facebook Marketplace, it's still worth putting a listing up and just throwing this in the description. And again, when people reach out, just say, sorry, it's not available. And then if they reach out and then mention they have an old phone, say, hey, this is no longer available, but I would still be willing to buy your old phone, and then see what happens. Now, I'll say this. If you're doing that strategy as opposed to actually doing the legitimate trade-in, you're probably going to have a lower success rate because people aren't going to trade in their current phone for not getting a phone in return because people don't want to go without a phone. That's just common knowledge. That being said, maybe they were buying it for someone else. There's plenty of reasons where they would, or what's likely to happen is they go find another phone and then just hit you up to sell their old one. So if they say, well, I need this phone until I can get a new one, then you tell them, hey, that's great. Maybe even give them your number. Just be like, just contact me when you buy the new one and I'll be happy to buy your old one from you. Because a lot of times maybe they weren't even looking to sell it on Marketplace or it would have sat around. Buyers on Marketplace, unless they're flippers, typically aren't sellers on Marketplace as well. Yes, a fair amount of the time they are, but I would say it's not quite as often as you might imagine. So it's definitely a really good way to get free leads, especially just posting a phone. Of course, Facebook Marketplace is free traffic, but you have to be super careful. The whole ads thing gets accounts banned these days. I see a bunch in my area, and it's the same guys making new accounts all the time, and it looks like a nightmare to have to do that. This strategy is essentially the same thing. You're getting eyeballs on your offer, but it's a legitimate way. It avoids that kind of thing, getting banned, all that good stuff. And the reason I say put not the newest, but not the oldest phone either, is because a lot of people who are buying phones on Marketplace aren't looking to spend $800 to $1,000 on a phone. I would say typically in the $200 to $500 range is a pretty good sweet spot where you could get a lot of demand, a lot of people who have then a valuable phone to trade in as well. So that's how I would do that. I would put, right now the 17 Pro Max just came out. It's the newest one. I would do a 13, 14, or 15 Pro Max and just see what kind of traffic you can get off of that. I think those would be the most popular models for Marketplace at the moment. Now, here's the most key point with trade-ins is you don't do this to break even. So let's say you resell your devices back on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe you're a beginner doing between $500 and $1,000 a month currently. Someone reaches out to you with an iPhone 11. Let's say on Marketplace you sell iPhone 11 for $100. The minimum profit you like to make on a phone is $50. So what you want to do, and for this example, let's just say you're selling an iPhone 12 for $150. Someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I have an iPhone 11. Well, you can sell iPhone 11 for $100. So you wouldn't offer $100 and break even on the 11, even though technically, if we just called that $100, it would be the iPhone 11 plus 50 cash, which would be $150. You wanted $150 for the 12. So yes, you would get the $150 for the 12, but now you'd have to sell this 11 and it would take longer to sell it just to break even and make what you originally wanted on the 12. So if you're doing a trade-in, you should absolutely be profiting at least whatever your minimum profit number is. Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 70, maybe it's even 30 if you're just starting out. But you absolutely want to be profiting because then you're just adding more time, more things to do to your schedule, another device you have to sell just to get even. And then maybe there's a trade-in on that one where you do the same thing. All of a sudden you get in this infinite loop of disastrous trade-ins and time wasting. So make sure to not do that. And I hope that makes sense. But remember, whatever your minimum profit is, for me, it's always been around $50. If I can make a $50 profit, I'm happy with that. So if I'm selling that iPhone 12 and someone reaches out to me says, hey, I have an iPhone 11 for trade. It's good condition, unlocked. I know I could get $100 for it. I'd probably offer between 30 and 50. Or I would just knock that off the price. I'd say, okay, thanks for adding that. I can do this cash plus your 11 for this 12. So that's kind of how I would frame that. I've done that a bunch of times. always make sure you're profiting on that. Again, that's the most key point with all this. Otherwise, you're just completely wasting your time. But this is something I've done for a while and it works extremely well. You'd be surprised how many people reach out and are not selling that device on Marketplace. So there's some people that use the platform as a buyer, but not a seller, because back in the day, I was on Facebook Marketplace 24/7 doing 3 to 4 grand months consistently. And that was me buying almost every phone in my area that could be bought for a profitable price. Literally every one, because I was always on. I saw every new listing every single day for iPhones. So I knew who was using the platform, who wasn't. I started to recognize people who were selling multiple phones, and I would have people reach out to me and I knew that their phone wasn't listed on the platform because I certainly would have seen it. So there's just so much market out there that becomes untapped in this business. You got to understand everyone's a potential customer, and there's just a million different ways to try and get their attention, get them in your network. And of course, once they trade in once, there's systems in place for them to become a repeat buyer. That might be something you're ready to do. Maybe it's not, but there's plenty of systems for that. Business cards, putting them in a CRM, all those things down the line could be once time a simple trade-in. And then next thing you know, they're selling you a bunch of devices all the time. So really good way to get free leads. I'd say one of the best ways to get free leads, especially if you're selling on Marketplace, again, because the trade-in system will always work better if you're actually doing the trade-in as opposed to just framing it as a trade-in, but really you're just trying to get free leads and buy devices. So really good strategy. It's a copy and paste away from making you an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month. That's about what I was doing on average with the trade-ins at my peak on Facebook Marketplace. I put this system into play way too late into my Marketplace career. I started using it at the tail end, and then right after that, I went into selling online, which is definitely better, but I would still keep a few listings up and talk to a few sellers as well, people trying to trade in. Just free leads. It got to the point where it was just a bit annoying for me because so many people kept asking if it was available, and the trade-in messages to is this available ratio wasn't as good, especially compared to all the messages I get now from repeats and Google ads. So personally, I don't run the strategy anymore, but if things ever got slow, I absolutely would, because it's free leads. Take advantage of it. I'm telling you, this will work for you. If you want to run it, and then DM me in school, let me know how it goes. That'd be awesome. If you're not in the school group, you should definitely join. It's completely free, and I have it linked below. You can message me, get help with your phone flipping business. I'm personally doing over 10K a month profits at this point, and I'd be happy to help you guys start or scale. I have a bunch of little tricks like this that you can implement. So if you're ever looking for help, join that group. Also have a free 6-hour course on the channel. That will be linked below as well. Let me know what you guys think of this strategy. Maybe you've done it before, maybe you haven't. Absolutely try it out. Let me know what you think. And I appreciate you guys for watching this video. See you in the next one.